Hello everyone, this is Sumit K. In this video, I'm going to talk about a real use case of, I'm sharing my experience of how we have modernized or migrated a legacy payroll application which was running on the on-premises environment, and how we have migrated this application from on-prem to the Google Cloud. So whenever you are engaging with the enterprise client who is concerned about transitioning to the cloud, the approach should be very empathetic and very informative. You have to think very strategic, right? So as I talked about in my previous video, right, there are certain process that you or certain steps or phases that you needs to go through before you take these huge decisions of the migrations, right? So I told you, right, in the assessment phase, or maybe in the discovery phase, when you are you know when you are talking to the customer, you can start by asking an open-ended question to your customer to understand their specific concerns. As I talked, like, there are what could be the reason that you want to migrate to the cloud. So you understand asking some specific questions to the to the customer. Is it that or maybe you understand why a customer is not uh, willing to migrate the workloads to the cloud. So you should ask those questions and understand the pain point of customer. Is it about security? Is it about cost or loss of control or any compliance or technical complexity of the migrations? So you need to first find out those reasons, right? And then you can start guiding and educate the customers about, um, by giving them the some of the success story that you have done before, or you can just talk about the benefits of moving the application into the cloud, right? So we have been faced through this particular use case in my experience. So I'm going to share this experience of one of the application that we have successfully migrated it to the Google Cloud. And this particular application was a legacy payroll application which was running onto the Windows, and it's a Java-based application hosted in the Apache Tomcat. So this particular application was running on the Windows. And if you see on the left hand side, here you will see there is a front end app there is a front end application. It's a stateless application. It's not persisting any data. And there is a middleware business logic application which actually process the business logic and persist the data into the database. There are some supporting services like active directory services for Windows domain joining and all these dependencies for Windows directory services. And we have some of the shared services which are the dependent services that works along with this particular stack. And we have a DFS services, which is Windows based distributed file system services, which actually stores all the customers and data to the NFS share of this file system. So you can see that we have this stateful application where this application is processing data into the DFS, and then we have the stateless application. We have some active directory. So I'm going to tell you, like, how we have successfully migrated it, right? I'm going to give you some high level overview. I'm not going to deep dive into how we actually did it, but what approach is that, right? How we have actually take the right approach to migrate it without having to the downtime. So um, let me just go through it. So this application was originally hosted on premises using an Apache Tomcat. It's a Java-based application, and we face several challenges, right, including the scaling issues due to the high user demand and elevated infrastructure cost. And also, here this particular application has got more demand amongst the customers. And since this was a payroll application, usually on the weekends or whenever the payroll gets processed, the scalability was the challenge. So that is one of the reason that the customer had decided to migrate this particular application to the Google Cloud. Additionally, the customer had another successful product deployed on GCP, which motivates them to migrate this payroll application to achieve the similar success. So they already had a one product, one application which was directly deployed onto the cloud, and it was a huge success. And this motivates us to move the old stacks as well. But it looks simple, but there are a lot of challenges, right? Because as I told, right, migration is not always a straightforward activities. So the approach is here. I'm going to tell you one by one, step by one, in the step by step process. So I go with the process, I'll go with the phases, right? So we'll go with assessment. So after the reasons have identified, the second phase was assessment. So in the assessment part, basically assessment part, we actually began by thoroughly assessing the existing on-prem infrastructure, our application architecture and dependencies. So we have used the tools during the assessment. We basically deployed a appliance, or we can call it a client software, which is actually given by the cloud migration center. You can deploy it in your virtual private cloud, and this particular client, when you install it here, is basically going to collect all the metrics, all the data that you need to find the dependency amongst those applications, the capacity, overall capacity of your virtual CPUs, RAM, disk, network connectivities. And the this tool also gives you, you know, the some of the costing part as well, like if you or as well as the recommendation, right? If this particular VM has, 4 CPU with 32 GB RAM here, so it will give you this recommendation. If you want to migrate this particular application as a VM onto this Google Cloud, then it will also give you some of the recommendation of for your application, for your database, for your NFS service, and all those things, right? So it also gives you some of this strategy, right? Given the immediate need to address the scaling issues and the cost concern, um, that give you the recommendations. So then we have this one, what we call it, planning part, right? So during the planning, since we have decided that the target cloud is going to be GCP. So we have decided that, and already there is a product was keep on running. So we have already deployed our landing zone, VPC, VPN tunnel setups, and the IAM policies and everything has been set up. So we have decided to go with the lift and shift migration strategy, which is nothing but you just move your application as it is, from one VM to another VM into the Google Cloud. We are actually changing the underlying infrastructure. The code or the application is running as it is. I mean, you can say that's no code change or with a minimal code change. We identified that we want to migrate this application as it is, whether it is a front end application, business logic application, or database, or it is AD or shared service or DFS. All these application which was running on on a VM in your virtual what we call it, VMware, we want to migrate it as it is, right? So we initially we want to use the lift and shift. So we use the Google Cloud Migrations tool. We utilize the GCP Migrations tool to perform the lift and shift, and moving the entire application, including this Windows server. And we use the GCP to compute my footage. Basically, we did not use the compute engine. We actually use the blue and green deployment kind of approach. So here on the right hand side, we have once we identified what level of instance size or VM size that we want to deploy in the Google Cloud, we have deployed all this application, the front end application, business line application, and database as it is, right? So we just took the code and deployed it here, right? And we make sure that all the latest version of codes are deployed here. And we use the same strategy like the Apache. We have hosted here. We use the same Windows Server license and everything. Database also, we have used the same database license, and because we can bring your own license from here to here, so we use the same approach. For AD Active Directory, we did not, because since Google also provide a managed directory service, but we seems we have followed the lift and shift migration. We actually deployed a brand new Active Directory services here onto the compute engine. Similarly, we have also deployed a DFS service to store the shared data onto a Windows server on a compute engine in a fault tolerance way, in a cluster level. Shared service, some of the shared service dependency, we also deployed the same onto the compute engine as well. For load balancer, yes, of course, we have used the regional load balancer, which is the managed service from the Google Cloud. So you can choose. We have chosen a network load balancer, and it's a regional load balancer. And these load balancer distribute the traffic amongst those unmanaged instance group. Initially, we go with the unmanaged instance group, right? So Using this approach, we actually use rehosting our application. As I told, the application was rehosted onto the virtual machine or compute engines in GCP, and we ensure that the setup mirror the same on-premises environment closely, right? Um, for database migration, we use the since we have the VP internal setup, we have used the GSUtil utility to copy. Sorry, not for database. Actually, for DFS, we use the GSUtil tool to copy the data from DFS service, which is around 3 TB around data, and we copy it over to our cloud storage here. Or I think not cloud storage. We have directly copied over to the DFS server here. So once you have the connectivity in place, you can copy the data, and GSODL is one of the greatest tool that GCP provides that help you to copy the data with the integrity in place, and there should no data loss. So you can schedule those copies in the interval. I'll take some time because on the VPN the bandwidth is slow, so it took a couple of days to copy the entire data. Similarly, for database, we have used the same approach of migrating this entire database from the on-premises to our Google Cloud Storage, and from Google Cloud Storage, we have we have copied the data from storage to our database nodes. So basically, we are replicating the database from here to here. Is going to be a replica here. So and then we have what we called the active directory servers. We have deployed it here directly and have configured with the fresh domain. So and then all this windows joining part is taken care by our AD servers. Now after some time, once we have migrated our entire application stack to the Google Cloud, it was up and running because the cutover part was done, it was up and running, and it was a great success. After 1.5 or 2 years, what we have done, we thought of replatforming of some of the key components like database. So after stabilizing the application in the cloud, we replatform the database to leverage the GCP managed database service, wherein we use Cloud SQL for MySQL Server, and this involves migrating from a self-managed database to the Cloud SQL. We also introduce one more thing here, which we call it a Reddish, which you call it in a Google Cloud is in memory cache, something like that. It's called Memcache, I think, right? So we introduced some of the additional services, the additional managed services along with our existing application, and then we moved from database to managed database, right? So GCP one. So now this we have replatformed our database, we have introduced our memcached, and then we have decided to just move it this DFS system from self-managed to the elastic file system, basically the file store as provided. So we have also moved from this DFS to the uh, managed EFS system, right? Yeah, so we have moved it. All these three items have been replatformed again, right? And then after a couple of years more, after a few years more, then we have decided to move this containerize. 2 years into the modernization journey, we fully containerize this application, and this basically involves the refactoring and re-architecting using the open source technology called Docker containers, and then we have deployed this containerized application into the Google Kubernetes engine. Initially, what we have done that before refactoring that, what we have done, we actually abstracted some of the modules, a couple of modules from this monolithic application, and we deployed it as a microservice on a VM itself. So it was running on a VM. I would say one component or service. I would say one particular module. Okay, which basically this particular service was something that was widely used and has got a high traffic. So we want to manage this particular service independently. So we have extracted this particular you know module from this monolithic application, and this particular service is now independently managed. And then after the stabilization of everything, right, we entirely extracted this module into a microservices, and we have successfully containerized our application and deployed onto the GKE. And this move provided robust orchestrations and automated scaling and simplified management of containerized workload. So the benefits that we get. So what I wanted to say that you have started with the lift and shift migration strategy, which we call it rehost, and then you use some of the replatforming, right? Initially, sorry, after the your after the lift and shift, your application was stabilized, and then after a couple of years, then you have replatform your database. You introduce some of the additional services, and some of more services you have replatform. And then after few years, after few more years, what we have done that we have extracted a couple of modules from the monolithic application, and we have tested that okay, this we can do this microservices refactoring type of containerization, right? So whenever we say that modernization or microservice, that doesn't mean that we always move the entire application into the microservices onto the containers. You can have your independent services on the VM itself, right? And then you can go with the microservices approach in a containerization form, which is actually the true meaning of your infrastructure, what we call it, application modernization. All right, so we have done the entire modernization into the after transforming it to a microservice architecture and running those into the Google Kubernetes engine. So what the benefit that we have received, that the scalability, right? The by migrating to GCP and leveraging the managed services, we resolve the scaling issue that actually we have seen into the on-premises setup. Since we also see the cost efficiency, because customer realize that a significant cost saving by reducing the operational overhead and leveraging the GCP pay as you go model. We have also seen the improved performance. Obviously, we are running the modern infrastructure, modern re-architect application, so you're gonna get a lot of performance here and the reliability, right? And successful transition, the entire modernization journey was a success, culminating in a fully containerized application running on GKE, and yeah, it's ready to feed the future demands, right? So this was my experience that we have successfully migrated a lot of applications, and this is one of the application which was onto the Windows workload. And so my suggestion as a cloud architect, that or that's my personal suggestion, that always go with the lift and shift approach until and unless it's if there is any constraint, or if there is no budgeting, I mean if there is any tight budget issues, or customers wants to immediately get the benefits of cloud and saving the money, go with the lift and shift approach. But sometimes what happens that if the customer has a good amount of budget, and uh, you know and has a very good team of developers, skilled people over there, they can use them and directly refactor their application. But again, it's going to take a lot of time, because developing an application in a containerization form itself takes a lot of time, right? Because coding takes a lot of time, and then you have to deploy, create a process, you have to find the right people who can manage the your containers application, Kubernetes engine, and the CI/CD pipelines to manage all those deployments. So things can go from not from, you can bypass the lift and shift and replatform, you can directly go for the refactoring. But the ideal approach is to go with the lift and shift first, and then um, go with the replatform and the re-architecting. All right, so this is that's it for today. If you have any question, just do let me know. I'm happy to answer it. Thank you. Bye.